Now let's follow this young man, Joseph, and see what's going to happen to him.
And this section is entitled Overseer in the House of Potiphar.
And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. Genesis 39, verse 1. This fine-looking young man, 17 years old, would sure be a prize as a slave in the market. He was bought by Potiphar, who was the captain of the guard. Potiphar was in the military. He had his office in the Pentagon of that day, and he was part of the brass, a prominent official. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man. And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. Genesis 39 and 2. Immediately, when he gets into the home of Potiphar, who is an officer of Pharaoh, it's obvious that the Lord is with Joseph. Blessing came to that home when Joseph came. His master saw that the Lord was with him, and the Lord had made all that he did to prosper in his hand. Genesis 39 and 3. Now, life is great up until this point. You'd like to add that they all lived happily ever after. They didn't. This is not a story, it's reality. The child of God is going to encounter temptation, trouble, and problems in this world. And that is going to happen to Joseph. Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer of his house and all that he had put it into his hand. Genesis 39 and 4. Just think of this. Because of the way Joseph serves, he's elevated to the position of handling all the material substance, the chattels, and probably even the real estate of Potiphar. The man trusted him with everything, and it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. Genesis 39, 5 and 6. Potiphar trusted Joseph so much, he never even demanded an accounting. But he didn't have to hire a CPA to go over the books. He believed in the integrity of this young man. The only thing that Potiphar worried about as an officer of Pharaoh is that he should please Pharaoh and do a good job there. He let Joseph handle his personal affairs. When he sat down at the table, food was put before him. That's all he was interested in because he trusted this young man. Did you want to say this?
This section is entitled Tempted, Then Framed by Potiphar's Wife.
Now, notice what happens. It comes to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, Lie with me. Genesis 39, 7. Potiphar had given him the full run of his home, and Joseph had charge of everything. While Joseph was busy, Potiphar's wife was also busy. She was busy scheming that Joseph was a handsome young man. It might be that Potiphar was an old man, because it was generationally the custom in that day for older men to have a young wife. She sees Joseph and she tempts to entice him.
And so that's J. Vernon McGee's commentary on verses 1 through 7. Now we're going to look at Chuck Smith's commentary on verse 1 through 7. The Lord was with Joseph. This is the summative of his life. He talks about the fiddler on the roof, that I know I am the chosen people. Would you mind choosing someone else, is what the fiddler on the roof said for a while. Being a Christian is not a do wine a divine community from uh, immunity from problems.
Oh, okay.
Everyone has problems. The Christ rest and unchristians. Jesus gives us a way out, our victory over our trials. Every handsome, it means goodly. That he is very handsome, and it's about his physical appearance.
Okay.
And I noticed Jay Vernon talked about, that's what we don't understand the custom of that day is that men probably when they were in their 40s married uh, young women, and so this Potiphar's wife was probably about the same age as Joseph.
Oh, it's Joseph. Yeah.
Right. And so we don't think of it that way. It was the same way with, we were talking about Shuah, the youngest son of Judah by the Canaanite woman Shuab. Shuab.
Yeah.
She had to wait for him to grow up, but that probably meant that wait until he was 40 years old and out on his own and had his own flocks and herds and tent.
So she probably was the same age as him.
She was probably the same age.
Okay. See, I thought she was way older.
Right, and see, that's the misnomer is we don't live in that kind of world, but what it was men would get established and then marry,
right.
a young
girl,
to be their wife, and it's almost like they were raising them with the kids.
So, yeah,
and that's why that we see, Joseph is dead by the time Jesus is grown, and that's
because he was old.
Because he was a lot older than Mary, probably. So we don't see that, but if you study the words, then you understand more of what's going on. We today would think that that's horrible, but that was what they.
That's how they did.
That's how.
So she was probably 15 and he was 40 or 40 something.
That was the idea. Yes, yeah. I didn't want to say that, but
like 25 years. Well, I was just thinking in my mind.
But yes, a damsel is probably 14 to 16 years old, and these
today
guys,
he would be called something different.
Yes, he would be, and they would not be able to marry until they reached an age of where that they were stable in life.
Yeah,
that's the idea, where they can afford
a wife and children. Yep.
And that be able to support a wife and children, and so that's what you go over there today, and it's still they're allowed to have as many wives as they can support. If they can have a house and pay for the house and upkeep for that wife and house, then they can have that wife.
I think that's maybe where the faith now that people have, that the religion is the reason they think they can have a bunch of wives and that they can have a 12-year-old, 15-year-old.
Well, it's still part of their custom.
Well, I'm talking about the people here, not over there.
Well, I know, but they brought their custom over here.
The Mormons.
Of the Mormons.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking of the Muslims too.
I was thinking of Mormons
too. Okay.
Yeah.
And the travelers, they do that. They will pick a wife. They will have
like gypsies.
They will have they're travelers. They'll have like a beauty show pageant.
Oh, yeah.
And the men will pick their wives.
I've seen
they won't
that.
Marry them then, but they
pick them from little girls.
Yeah, pick them as little girls. Arranged marriages.
Yeah.
It comes out of the arranged marriages.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh my goodness.
So we don't really understand the Bible, the customs of the day. But that's one of them.
Well, if a man was 40 and he wanted to marry a woman around his age, he wouldn't be able to find one because she was married off when she was 15.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then she would be past She wouldn't be able to have children.
I don't know. They had children at 90 years old
Oh, I
back
know.
then.
True. He needs to marry a 90-year-old woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'm just kidding around. It's
So
okay.
that concludes section